Welcome to another stage analysis video. It's Saturday the 22nd of March 2025. Doing it a bit earlier this weekend as I'm going away for a few days this week, so wanted to do it for you today. So going to start off with the US watchlist stocks before getting into the regular content. So Celsius Holdings, CELH, one that stood out at the moment, approaching its stage 2 level. So you can see on the daily chart here the structure that's been developing for the last 6 months or so. So going back all the way to some preliminary support down here. So you can see there was the rallies started to move. They were up to their 21-day moving average, and then we got a slight change of behaviour here with this, a gap up move on some heavier volume up towards its 50-day moving average, but couldn't get back above that 50-day moving average at that point, so continued on in stage 4 before starting to make a new rebound attempt. And again, after this rebound, pulled back in, but did start to move higher. So from this point to this point, we go from our selling climax to our automatic rally to a secondary test, and hence we can then draw the initial base structure through here. So the base has been generally developing since around this kind of area, the broader structure in that regard. But this tighter area here, you can see the vast majority of the price action has been within this 25 to sort of 33 range over the last 5 months or so. So after the selling climax and rally secondary test, we had what we call a terminal shakeout. Then the earnings reaction took it back above the top of the range with an up thrust to come back in for a last point of support. So another secondary test and then rolling back up. You can see this significant bar in the near term here, which was near term resistance, has been overcome in the last few days, so it is still quite close to that. But generally with a significant bar like this, if it doesn't get back above the midpoint, that's when it starts to show signs of weakness. So you can see it's got back above that for the last 5 days in a row, so showing a little bit of near-term strength there. You can see the 200-day moving average here still with a steep decline. So we put this one in what we call phase D of the structure, those of you that follow Wyckoff's work. So the phases going from the initial structure with A, B, C area, now we're into potential D. It may not be, but we've got potential. If we can get a sign of strength out of this area, then potentially this would be phase D through here. And then stage 2 level in this regard, because the entire base structure has developed underneath the 200-day moving average, the breakout in this area is still within stage 1, so it would need to get back above its 200-day moving average. We use a little bit of a tolerance on that when we have only the moving average and the entire base is developed below, so we use a 1% tolerance on top of that. So we're looking for a move up into this kind of area. So we're looking on the weekly chart on the stage analysis website here. You can see at the moment this is the structure on the weekly chart, so where in the stage 2 level is up here, the little dot. So need to start to move back above that point. I've put on the 40-week moving average here. As you can see, just sitting underneath that at the moment, but next week that 40-week moving average will continue to drop down, and then it will be above that level. So at the moment, just in the top of that range there. So looking for, if we look at Celsius on that longer term basis here, so you can see that, let's zoom in on the chart, you can see this move off of the highs. Had a really extreme decline from down here. I think it was 75% or so off the bottom, but this significant bar that we've had with that reaction in the last month or so, and now starting to push back to the top of that range. So certainly a change of behavior in the near term, potentially a change of character. So looking for it to start to move out and up and potentially into stage 2. But with such a deep decline, there's going to be a lot of overhead resistance to deal with this one. So there could be any kind of rally attempt up there, could have some headwinds to deal with in the near term. So for example, if we look at this on the trading view stage analysis chart, just get the full chart here, you can see that shows that the stage is a little bit more clearly in terms of the color coding, just starting to move into stage 1 here, and would need to get back above this kind of area to start to move into stage 2, as I said. So it has had decent stage 2 runs in the past with a lot of choppy moves back into stage 3 before making continuation. So this drop off the high here, as I said, was around 78%, so a huge decline in this one and a very early recovery, so a little bit of a short covering rally back into this area. So we do want to see it start to turn back. We put on the anchored VWAP to see from the highs here. This is a good way to see where a potential stage 2 level might be as well, if you don't know exactly. So you can see where the volume weighted average is sitting at, so you can see that is in a similar kind of area to what we would be looking for. And then another way that you can do it is by looking at the volume profile to see where the majority of the base structure is. So I put an anchored volume profile from the high, for example, here, and then you can see where the potential base area is. So if you drop down to a daily chart, you might be able to see that a little bit more clearly. So you can see that recent structure through here, what we marked up on the chart. So that was our area. So you can use the peak levels through here to look for that structure. So just a rough area through there, and that's the developing range that we're looking for. So again, looking for a move up and through this area for a potential move to stage 2 in that regard. So let's come back. TTWO. So this one's been in stage 2 for a while. So again, if we come back to the weekly chart on this one, you can see been running higher in stage 2 since, let's put the stage's background on. You see they started to move out into stage 2 through this point. So good few months or so now. We look at it, it's only had a max 35% move in the last 22 weeks since moving back into stage 2 again. So it did have a decent stage 2 run back through the 2023 period as well. You can see that last move, the 50-week move there, again had a maximum 47% move during that period. So at the moment, take 2 sitting near the highs, but has been grinding its way higher with stage 2 back to 3 and then back to 2 again over the last few years. So on a daily basis, back above the 180R level, sitting at the top of this structure here, and the earnings reaction bar, so sitting above that level at the moment. So relative strength compared to what we're seeing with the rest of the market at the moment. So even though this is going sideways, you can see it's been outperforming. So looking for a continuation move with this one. TEM, so Tempest AI, so has come off heavily recently. So had a brief move up into stage 2 and rolled back down again heavily and come back down. I did actually have a good short-term trade on this one myself in the near term with using the swing trading method of stage analysis. So you could use that same technique again potentially with this. So if you can see the move on this and then imagine it on the lower time frame, so you can see the move down and then it's starting to build some kind of base structure. So if we drop down to a lower time frame, so start with half a day, so 195 minute, you can see it's starting to develop a potential stage 1 structure here. It may even be just on the borderline of a stage 2 there, but you can see there's no volume yet in that regard on this early attempt. We go down to a 2-hour time frame, you can see it's just peaking out into stage 2, but again no volume. So ideally with a stage 2 breakout on this kind of area, so this kind of move here, we'd want to see a big volume bar and then increased volume, so like we did through this area. So if I take this back in time a little bit here, let's go back 4 months, you'll be able to see the huge volume increase that we had through this area here compared to what the average volume was before that. So generally on a stage 2 breakout, you're not going to get that kind of move, but we want to see at least 2 or 3 times the average volume on the intraday basis there when you're using it from a swing trading perspective. As I said, you can see stage 2, little 3, and then rolled over into 4 and now back into 1, and just at the top edging out around the 2 level at the moment on an intraday basis. So from a swing trading method, it's just at the intraday area there. So but from the broader structure here on the daily chart, it's had another little shake out at the bottom of the range, the broader range. So it did have a huge drop off before coming back in, but from the last major volume bar, so this highest volume ever bar here, so that's this week, so you can see it hasn't undercut that level yet, so that's still holding at the moment. Until that fails, Obviously this is still in a reasonable position, so we want to see it start to get back above that 21-day moving average and back above the 50-day as well, and hold that and potentially grind its way back up again. So, and as I said, ideally we'd want to see some stronger volume coming into that if that is the case. But if it does start to roll here, then could quickly drift off and turn to stage 4 there. So TEM is a interesting one. Obviously a lot of interest and a huge change in the average volume, as you can see from what it was trading previously. So this one has got a lot of interest in the short term.